Hasrat-e-Zindagi Mamuli, and on behalf of both these groups, we have organized this meeting today. We want to discuss a report that we brought out, which was on familial violence against queer and trans people. And it was in the context of the marriage equality petitions that have been going on in the Supreme Court for the last many days. These two groups have come together today to organize this because on 1st of April, a panel hearing was held in Delhi, which was, we called it a Jan Sunwai, but it was a Jan Sunwai of the nature. It wasn't an open Jan Sunwai, not open to the public. It was a closed door thing, but it was basically meant, the panel that heard it was meant to listen to the voices that came and spoke there and take it to the public. And this is one attempt that we're doing to bring the voices that spoke to us to a larger audience. We are speaking of familial violence against queer and trans people. And why did we think of it is what I'm going to speak about a little bit. Also, why are we doing this discussion now? Both. So the first idea of the Jan Sunwai actually began in December sometime, when we started reading the petitions that were going to the Supreme Court, asking for, and I use the terms consciously, same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage in itself seemed a very limiting demand. But once we looked at the petitions, it was even more limiting because the voices that were being represented in the Supreme Court in the initial lot of petitions were those of people coming from metro cities, coming from dominant castes, dominant classes, also people who had acceptance from their family, who had probably done some sort of rituals and gotten married, and their demand was that the bouquet of rights, and I'm using these terms as they were used in the court, the bouquet of rights that marriage brings is from the state is what they were looking for. So that was their very limited reach, and it kind of, so many, the people who, when I say we, I mean a network of LGBT collectives around the country who have been working primarily with lesbian, bisexual, intersex women and trans people and have been dealing with many stories of couples coming to us, running away from homes, wanting to stay with each other, wanting to marry each other, and forced to run away, because if they did not do that, then they would be forced into cis marriages. And so to escape forced marriage, they were actually coming not only to us, but also going to high courts, going to various state agencies, saying that we want to live together and please make it possible for us. So for us, those voices we felt needed to come into the public discussion on what was being called same-sex marriage, what we chose to call marriage equality. That everybody should have an equal, accessible right to marriage is what we were framing it as. We also wanted to say that beyond the bouquet of rights that you get from the state, what marriage actually gives is a privilege of recognition, not only by society but also by the state, and both work in conjunction with each other. So sometimes society's sanction needs to be given sanction by the law. Oftentimes, for those who are marginalized, the legal sanction helps to get social sanction. And this we've seen from feminist battles of many years and battles around different marginalized groups, around caste, around disability. We've seen this all along. So one of the things that we wanted to say was that there is recognition from the law is important. If I have to fight society, if I have to fight family, which is not accepting me, then recognition from the state is very important for me to continue to live in the way that I want to live. And the third thing was, it was also protection. Because every time that people were running and going to state agencies, usually the state agency that has the most visible face is the police, and the police was responding by siding with the family. The police rarely responded siding with the adults who came to them asking for the right to live with each other. So we know that in law the right exists, but it was not being implemented. And so one felt that maybe getting people into the marriage debate might help a little bit in continuing that struggle. Not that the struggle would end, not that the fight would end, but it would be one additional certificate that they would get. And as we were discussing this amongst ourselves, and this network is a very, very tentative, loose network, which has been set up because actually people run. People run across states. People run from one place to the other, and so we have to be in touch with each other. We are very few, some 7-8 people, but located in different parts of the country, from Delhi, Baroda, Bombay, Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Calcutta, West Bengal, and some bits in the northeast and Orissa. So this network has been working together, trying to reach out to people in help. And when we were talking and we were discussing, one of the things that we thought that maybe we can file a petition, but we also thought that at least the debate has to come into the public. That there are many kinds of people who are actually wanting to choose families. And that was the next way in which we defined it, that everybody wants to make a family of their choice. Some of them might want to make a monogamous coupled marriage as a choice. Many others may not want to do that, but they definitely want to see that if the assigned family, which means the family that I'm born in or I'm adopted into, that assigned family does not continue to have control over my life and go against my ways of living and being. So this was also one of the things that we wanted to do, and hence this Sunwai, to bring to the public stories that have been floating around but have come as, one-off story in the news, and when the story comes you feel very moved because you read the details, but then because it is one story it goes away. So in some sense, to bring it all together, the panel was being discussed, and Mihir and KP and Veena will talk more about what happened at the panel. But I just want to end with one more thing. Why did we want to do this discussion here? Because we think that the debate on marriage equality is actually a debate on the family, and a debate that we run away from time and again. We're not actually looking at questioning the structure of family itself. We have all, and this includes at times the women's movements, it includes at times, oftentimes the other progressive movements, that the nature of family, which is made by blood and marriage, is taken as a given. There are multiple ways of being. We do not question that, they are there, but they somehow become lower than this way of being. And that, to our minds, is a problem. It is a problem because for many people who do not want to continue that mold, that family and society and everything that gives credence to that family actually pushes us back into being who we are not. And that is not something that we are okay with. Secondly, the fact that we live in a society where even hard-earned rights are being taken away, where the space to be is shrinking, we believe that pushing the envelope is the way to go. We cannot keep on taking a step backwards. We have to push forward, and we have to talk of uncomfortable and difficult topics. And the third thing is that as far as the state goes, if the state is becoming neoliberal and giving up its welfarist nature, it is pushing all of us back into care from those very family structures. The familial structures become very important, especially for those dispossessed, because there is no other system. There is no other system that can take care of me. And so in a fight to retain the welfare state, in a fight to retain social security, in a fight to retain equitable distributions of various resources, I think it's important that we focus back on the family and focus on it. One battle was done by the women's movements over the years. Many battles have been done from the left, from the anti-caste movements. They are coming here with additional layers to the cattle and questioning that can an assigned family be my only choice of a family if I don't want to choose marriage also.